Shireen Bhan. As we've been telling you, India is being represented here by her states. One of the states attempting a turnaround but also a comeback is the state of Andhra Pradesh. The original Davos man, from an Indian state's perspective, Chandrababu Naidu, is back here in Davos. He started his Davos journey in '97 and he has returned in 2025 to try and make a sales pitch to draw in investments to the state. Joining us now to talk about not just the Davos plan but also the state's turnaround strategy is Nara Lokesh. Many thanks for joining us here in Davos. Before I move any further, a very happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Shireen. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Let me start by asking you about the Davos sales pitch. And we've got 6 states here representing India, and each one of them is doing a hard sell to investors. As I said, there's a turnaround plan that you are working towards, but there's also a comeback strategy here to draw in investments from investors here in Davos. Take me through what you've been able to suss out so far.
I mean, Andhra Pradesh's turnaround plan started 7 months back when the new government was formed. If you look at it in the last 7 months, we make amazing progress. We have had great investments from a steel city to a data city to all the larger IT companies now coming to invest in Visakhapatnam. See, Davos for us was to send a clear message that Andhra is back. We're willing to do business all over again. Last 5 years have been very tough for Andhra Pradesh. So it's very important to give that confidence to the investors. And I see amazing energy, and people are now looking at Andhra Pradesh to make it part of their growth strategy.
You know, you said Andhra is back, open for business, and that's the message that you want to send out. You've had a slew of meetings, including the likes of Bill Gates, the leadership team at Foxconn, and many other companies. But specifically, are there areas of interest? Are there areas where you will prioritize investments? Because as I pointed out, I mean, you know, everyone's going after everybody here, including your peers. So will you focus on some specific sectors to build those out as part of the sunrise sector's aspirations for growth?
We are the sunrise state of India. Andhra Pradesh, if you look at it, has a very diverse geography. So we are able to focus each district for a specific sector. So we have an automotive district, renewable energy district, CBG district, then we have the entire data city, the steel city coming up in North Andhra, which is Visakhapatnam. So all the sectors are open. But what I'm promising everyone is that Andhra Pradesh will deliver on speed of doing business. We're no longer competing with other states, but we want to compete with other countries like Singapore and the Middle East in terms of speed of doing business. And with that agenda, we've gone to the investors. Because if you look at it today, all the investments are a few $1 billion. And even a 6 months delay throws the entire business plan out of shape. So it's very important that governments deliver on the speed of doing business, and Andhra will lead it from the front.
Let's talk about the turnaround strategy, because, you know, we've just seen the budget, and of course there is a revenue deficit as well, and there is a fiscal deficit in excess of 4%, a revenue deficit in excess of 2%. How do you chart a turnaround from here?
Well, Mr. Naidu always loves crisis. He says that's where opportunities are. We're exactly where the erstwhile Andhra Pradesh was in '95, and we did a turnaround. I mean, look at where Telangana is today. I think Andhra Pradesh is exactly positioned there. Thanks to the Honorable Prime Minister, he's held our hand very well. He's given us amazing support on the budget and even subsequently on various other issues. That is enabling us to come out of all the rut that we were in the last 5 years. And we, in about a 5-10 year time, we will contribute back to the nation building.
And there's a very ambitious target for growth as well as per capita rise that the Chief Minister has put in place by 2047. 15% growth that's being targeted, and $44,000 in per capita. That's the aspiration as well. How do you get there?
And $2.4 trillion economy from where we are today, which is 188 billion. So, I mean, we have a clear trajectory. All the ministers and ministries have been given clear targets on what they have to deliver. So in education, which is my Bharat portfolio, as I call it, there are very specific goals that we need to deliver. So we are very focused, all of us together. I'm confident that we can deliver on it. And I believe if all states work together, we can make India #1.
But how doable is that, to get all states to work together? Because what we are seeing happen here is that, you know, everyone's essentially going after the same pie, isn't it?
Not necessarily. The pie is big enough. The world is ready to do business with India. They see India as a very strategic country for them. And one of the major reasons for that is our consistency in leadership. You know, the Honorable Prime Minister is in his 3rd term. NDA government is in its 3rd term. So the policies are very consistent, and they see that as a clear trajectory. I mean, geopolitically, there's so much of disturbance across the globe. Now, Andhra is the only country, India is the only country that's standing up bright. And in India, Andhra Pradesh is again going to be ahead of everyone else.
You know, you talked about the strength of the India story and the India advantage and opportunity at this point in time. But what we're also seeing happen as far as global events and developments go, it's President Trump back in the White House and telling people to do business in the US, to make in America, to make America great again. Do you believe that that is going to perhaps put a speed breaker of sorts, especially as far as manufacturing plans are concerned?
No, I mean, to be fair, the President of the US, Donald Trump, has also been very kind with India. The Honorable Prime Minister and Mr. Trump have an amazing relationship. I'm sure all this will fructify and will lead to investments even in India. So I believe that we live in a global economy and India has an important role to play. And yesterday, if you look at it, you know, even states that didn't have India governments were well represented with a clear message of India first. And I think that shows a clear message to the world that India is ready to do business.
It's not just India first, it's also AI first here in Davos. What's the plan on that front as far as Andhra Pradesh is concerned?
See, in my department, which is HRD, Human Resource Development, we're going to be using AI extensively to assess students, to give prescriptive homework. So it's not going to be one homework for every child, a common homework. It's going to be very unique to them. And AI in governance is nothing new for Mr. Naidu. So real-time governance was there. Now, again, that's now under me. Once we return from Davos, we'll see a lot of activities again starting in AI in healthcare, AI in agriculture. So you'll see a lot of technology being used.
You know, what we saw happen with Hyderabad, and of course, when in my conversation with the Chief Minister, he was talking about what he was able to deliver there with the promise and how that is helping the state of Telangana today. As far as Andhra Pradesh is concerned, the IT aspiration, the GCC aspiration, what will you leverage to try and ensure that you can replicate that success?
I mean, 20% of the global IT workforce is from the 2 Telugu-speaking states. And in that, majority of them are from my state. So we have amazing education institutions and they're ready to come back. And we are adding more workforce every year. So I think there's an amazing combination now with the Chief Minister and with the Honorable Prime Minister working together in Andhra's interest. I think there's an amazing and lethal combination. As we call it, double engine Sarkar. So I think our 2 engines for the jet plane. So I think we have an amazing combination and we can deliver on this. And you will be hearing a lot of announcements in the next 3 months coming into Visakhapatnam, which is going to be our IT destination. Okay.
Give us a sneak peek into what kind of announcements we should expect for Visakhapatnam and for the state in general.
Well, a data city. It'll be one of the world's largest. We're going to be making a lot of announcements in that
data centers there?
Yes, data centers. And not just stopping at data centers, but building out the entire ecosystem around it. And parallelly, you will see a lot of GCC announcements, and of course, our homegrown biggies also now coming to Visakhapatnam in big numbers.
So, if I could ask you to give me a number in terms of the quantum that you are likely to stitch together for investments for this year, for 2025, for instance.
See, our target is to create 20 million jobs. 20 lakh jobs in the next 5 years, and that's a clear agenda for us. With that agenda, we're working now. If you've seen, already we have ArcelorMittal committing India's largest steel plant. And we're going to build a steel city, which is 14 million metric tons. Right, and we're working with Google on the Data City project. Then we're working with BPCL to do a refinery in South Andhra. So all these projects are just about taking off.
And big aspirations on the port side of the business as well.
Absolutely.
Are you drawing in investments there?
Absolutely. And we are talking to the larger ocean liners to have Andhra Pradesh as the port of call. And we had a conversation with the largest ocean liner to actually give us a maritime strategy for Andhra Pradesh. And they're going to come back in 45 days with that strategy.
Aspiration of shipbuilding as well. Is that something that you're considering? Are you talking to global players today?
Absolutely, shipbuilding. We're talking to the Koreans. They're the biggies in the shipbuilding sector. And we're busy, scouting out for partners in India. So we're going to marry both, and we'll do it in Andhra Pradesh. And we're also talking to the larger, logistics chains like DHL to figure out, and even FedEx to figure out how Andhra can be part of their strategy in India.
So the conversations with the Koreans on shipbuilding, how far have they progressed so far?
Well, they're really excited. They see India as the next place. From the growth strategy perspective. So you'll hear good announcements in the shipbuilding probably in 6 months.
In 6 months on shipbuilding specifically. Let's talk about Amravati, because speaking of a comeback, that's making a comeback as well, and plans have been revived there. Of course, you've got some multilateral support coming in for Amravati as well. From here to what you hope to actually be able to deliver and achieve. What's the timeline? What's the plan?
3 years.
3 years?
3 years, the core capital region will be ready. Because yes, last 5 years, Amravati was on a pause. Thanks to the support of Government of India, now we're able to restart the entire project. Everyone's charged up, ready. All the tendering is completed. And we're going to start work from 1st of Feb.
So tendering is done at this point and work starts from the 1st of Feb.
Feb.
So who are, in terms of real estate and the other aspiration of housing for all, which the Chief Minister has also promised, I mean, give me some nuts and bolts of how all of this is going to play out.
I mean, specifically in Amravati is our knowledge society, is what we're building out there. So a lot of education institutions have already come. Two, in the past life, which is 14 to 19, we've done this amazing project, which is a G+3 for low-cost housing for LIG families. And it's been a huge success. We were able to build about 600,000 houses back then. And now we have a clear mandate to do it better. So we have to do about 1 million houses. And of course, there's funds coming in from Government of India in this direction. And of course, state will also put its own funds and build this out in Amravati and also across the state.
So one of the other priority areas for your government is also bringing back clean energy and green energy. And of course, we've seen what happened on the solar front. But do you expect to be able to rebuild trust and confidence given the fact that there was a fair degree of policy discontinuity?
I mean, there were challenges, and we are still fighting or swimming against the tide in that sense. But at RE Invest Summit, the Honorable CM made a commitment to India that 72 gigawatts of renewable energy assets will be built in the next 5 years. So that's across solar, wind, and pump storage hydro projects. And we are heading in that direction, because if I have to build a data city of tomorrow, I need 24/7 renewable energy. A steel city of tomorrow needs green energy. So green energy is an integral component of India's growth story, and more so of Andhra's growth story. And green hydrogen project that the Honorable Prime Minister has laid foundation to in Visakhapatnam, I think is the first project, and you'll see a slew of more projects coming in that area.
Well, it's already snowing here in Davos. I guess it's a white birthday for you. But Lokesh, one of the challenges that governments across the world, but more particularly state governments in India, are also faced with is balancing revenue generation with the needs of the people. I mean, welfare schemes, including by governments like yours, are being given out at this point in time, and you require certain safety and social security nets to be provided. But the challenge of being able to fund those, I already pointed out, fiscal deficit over 4%, revenue deficit of over 2% at this point in time. How do you meet this challenge?
That's why we want to grow at 15% year on year. And we want to grow the pie of services and manufacturing in Andhra's economy, while we protect agriculture, and we'll have specialized agriculture coming in. So only then I can sustain my, my needs in terms of balancing both welfare and development. So that's why we need to grow at 15%. Anything less is unacceptable.
Anything unacceptable, but is it doable is the question.
We've done it in the past. We've come close to 13.5%. But I think with the kind of energy that India is able to now draw at the global front, I think 15%